The text came at 12:47 a.m. on a Tuesday. I was in my security booth at the riverfront office complex, watching grainy footage of an empty parking lot, when my phone lit up with a number I didn't have saved anymore. But I knew it. Some numbers, you just know. I've had my fun. Now I'm ready to be a wife again. That's it. That's the whole message. No, hi. No, how are you? No, I'm sorry for destroying everything we built over 8 years of marriage. Just that one sentence, like she was announcing she'd finished binge-watching a Netflix series and was ready to try something else. I sat there staring at the screen, my cold coffee forgotten, and something that wasn't quite a laugh bubbled up in my chest. It died before it reached my throat. Ready to be a wife again. Like it was a hobby she'd put on pause. Like our marriage was a gym membership she could reactivate whenever she felt like it. Like I'd been sitting here for the past year, loyally holding her spot, grateful for the chance to welcome her back. The thing is, I kind of had been. At first. My name is Ethan Cole. I'm 33 years old. It's the kind of place where everyone knows everyone's business because there's nothing better to do than talk about each other. The kind of place where success means you got out, and if you're still here, well, you're probably not going anywhere. I never got out. Lauren did in her own way, or she tried to. My wife, ex-wife almost, though the paperwork's been stuck in legal limbo for 11 months now, left me on a February night last year. There was snow on the ground, the kind that looks gray and tired under streetlights. I remember because I kept staring at it through the window while she packed her bags, watching the way her reflection moved across the glass, like a ghost already halfway gone. I'm not happy, she'd said. Standard line. Every person who's ever left anyone has said that. You never really lived, Ethan. You're comfortable, safe, boring. Boring. That word stuck like a fishhook. Brandon makes me feel alive. Brandon Hale, of course. The name I'd been pretending not to hear whispered at the grocery store, at the gas station, at the diner where we used to eat breakfast on Sundays. Brandon with his perfect teeth and his flashy gym and his loud laugh that carried across parking lots. Brandon, who co-owned the new fitness club downtown and had his fingers in half a dozen shady but legal businesses around the riverfront redevelopment project. Brandon, who'd been sleeping with my wife for God knows how long before she finally decided to make it official. I need space, she'd said, zipping up her second suitcase. I need to figure out who I am. I didn't fight. I didn't scream. I just watched her pack, noting stupid details my brain decided were important. The chipped coffee mug she left on the dresser. The way she only took her nice clothes and left behind the worn-out sweatpants and old t-shirts. The half-empty laundry basket in the corner that she didn't bother finishing. She was leaving, but she was leaving her safety net behind. I'll call you, she'd said at the door, when I'm ready to talk. I'd nodded. I think I said okay. I don't remember. What I do remember is the sound of her car starting in the driveway, the red taillights disappearing down our street, the way the house suddenly felt huge and empty and cold, like all the warmth had walked out the door with her. And I remember thinking, she'll be back. Because Lauren always came back. That was her pattern. Push boundaries, test limits, see how far she could go before someone pulled her back to safety. She'd done it with jobs, with friends, with every commitment she'd ever made. She burned hot and fast and then retreated when things got complicated. So I waited, like an idiot. The first month was the worst. I called in sick to work twice, which I never did. I slept on the couch because the bedroom felt wrong. I ate cereal for dinner and didn't bother cleaning up. My neighbor, Mia, a woman in her late 20s who knew everyone's business and loved sharing it, started leaving casseroles on my doorstep with little notes that said things like, "Hang in there," and "You deserve better." Everyone in town knew. Of course they did. "Saw Lauren at the gym with Brandon," someone would say at the coffee shop, not quite whispering. "They looked pretty cozy. She was at that new nightclub he invested in." Mia told me one afternoon, her voice dripping with concern that didn't quite hide the excitement. Dancing like she didn't have a care in the world? I nodded. I smiled. I said things like, good for her and we're working things out, because the alternative was admitting that my wife had traded me in for a guy who probably had more followers on Instagram than I had friends in real life. The second month, something changed. I was at work, sitting in my booth watching security feeds of empty hallways and dark offices. It was 2 a.m. The building was silent, except for the hum of servers and the occasional creak of old pipes. I'd pulled up the exterior cameras, cycling through different angles, when I caught sight of someone at the riverfront construction site across the way. Brandon's SUV, his ridiculous, oversized, chrome-trimmed monument to insecurity. I watched him get out, check his phone, meet another man I recognized as Caleb Doyle, his business partner. They talked for maybe 5 minutes, too far away for the camera to pick up audio, but their body language was tense. Brandon kept gesturing wildly. Caleb kept shaking his head. They looked stressed. They looked worried. They looked like men who'd overextended themselves and were starting to feel the squeeze. And something cold and clear settled in my chest, pushing aside the fog of misery I'd been living in. Brandon wasn't invincible. He was just a guy. A reckless guy who probably made a lot of stupid decisions because everything had always worked out for him before. Reckless men leave footprints. I opened a new folder on my desktop, named it Project. Nothing specific, nothing suspicious, just a place to start keeping notes. That night, I stopped drinking myself to sleep. I started paying attention instead. The third month, I went back to Lauren's old office. She'd worked as a social media manager for a local lifestyle magazine, one of those glossy publications that pretended our decaying city was actually a hidden gem full of artisan coffee shops and boutique stores. She'd been good at it, or at least good at making things look better than they were. I showed up with a box of her things I'd found in the garage. Books, a coffee tumbler with the magazine's logo, some promotional materials. It was a flimsy excuse, but it worked. The receptionist let me in, told me to leave the box with her. Actually, I'd said, I was hoping to give these to someone who worked with her, just to, make sure she gets them. The receptionist, young, probably an intern, had nodded sympathetically. Oh, you could try Nora. Nora Reed. She and Lauren were pretty close. She pointed me to a desk in the back corner. Nora Reed was 29, with dark hair pulled back in a practical ponytail and eyes that looked like they didn't miss much. She was reading something on her computer screen, frowning slightly when I walked up. Hi, I'd said. I'm Ethan Cole, Lauren's husband. Her expression shifted. Not quite pity, more like recognition. I know who you are, she'd said quietly. You can leave the box here. I'll make sure she gets it. Thanks. I set it down on her desk, started to turn away, then stopped. Can I ask you something? She looked up, waited. Did she ever talk about me? Wrong question, probably. Too vulnerable, too desperate. But Nora didn't laugh or brush me off. She just studied me for a long moment. She talked about you, Nora said finally, but not the way you'd want. I nodded, felt that fishhook word, boring, twist a little deeper. She said you were safe, predictable, that you'd always take her back. Nora's voice was gentle, but her eyes were sharp. She said she knew exactly how you'd react to everything, that you couldn't survive without her. There it was, Lauren's insurance policy, her safety net. Right, I said. Thanks for the honesty. I turned to leave again, but Nora spoke. For what it's worth, I don't think she's right about that. I looked back. She was watching me with an expression I couldn't quite read. You don't look like you're falling apart to me, she said. Something in her tone made me pause, made me really look at her. I'm working on it, I said. She almost smiled. Good. I left the office that day with something I hadn't expected. A witness. someone who'd heard Lauren's version of our story and didn't seem to believe it. The 4th month, I hired a lawyer. Nothing dramatic, just a consultation with a guy named Dennis who worked out of a cramped office above a sandwich shop. He was 50-something, tired-looking, and brutally honest. "Your wife abandoned the marriage," he said, flipping through papers. "That helps. How long has it been?" 4 months. "Any kids?" "No." "Thank God for that." He made notes. "Joint accounts? Property?" I told him everything. The house was in both our names, but I'd been making the mortgage payments solo since she left. We had one joint checking account and one savings account, both mostly empty because Lauren had drained them before she left. Not illegally, but not kindly either. "Here's what you do," Dennis said. "Keep paying the mortgage. Keep records of every payment, every bill, every expense. Maine is an equitable distribution state, which means if this goes to court, they'll try to split things fairly, but fair doesn't mean equal. The fact that you've been maintaining the property while she's been gone matters." "Can I take my name off the joint accounts?" I asked. "You can close them if you want. Open new ones she doesn't have access to." He leaned back. "But I'd wait. Keep them open, keep minimal money in them. That way, if she tries to drain them again, there's nothing to take, and it shows a pattern of financial irresponsibility on her part." I nodded, taking notes. "Look," Dennis said, "I'm not here to tell you what to do emotionally, but legally, protect yourself. Document everything. And whatever you do, don't let her back in without a signed agreement about finances and property." I left his office with a plan. A real one. The 5th month I saw them together. It was a Friday night. I wasn't working. I was at a bar near the river, nursing a beer and watching the news on the TV above the counter, when I heard that laugh, the one that carried, Brandon's. I didn't turn around. I just watched them in the mirror behind the bar. Brandon, all muscle and confidence, his arm around Lauren's waist. Lauren, wearing a dress I didn't recognize, her hair longer than I remembered. She was laughing at something he'd said, her head tilted back, looking young and free and nothing like the woman who used to come home exhausted, complaining about work. She looked happy, and Brandon looked like he owned the world. I paid for my beer and left before they saw me, walked back to my car with my hands shaking and my jaw clenched so tight, my teeth ached. But I didn't cry. I didn't punch a wall. I didn't call her or text her or do any of the pathetic things I might have done a few months earlier. I went home. I opened my laptop. I added to my notes. Brandon Hale, co-owner, Pulse Fitness Club, silent partner, Monarch Nightclub, involved in riverfront condo development project, known for flashy lifestyle, social media presence, active, rumors of financial stress. Lauren Cole, social media manager, City Life magazine, active on Instagram and Facebook, posts frequently about fitness, nightlife, living authentically, no mention of husband, no mention of marriage. I wasn't spiraling, I was building something. The 6th month, Nora called me. I'd given her my number during one of the times I'd stopped by the office. There'd been 3 more visits, always with some excuse, always brief, and I hadn't expected her to use it. "Hey," she said when I answered. "It's Nora Reed, from the magazine." "I remember. Can we meet somewhere?" "There's something I think you should know." We met at a coffee shop across town, nowhere near anywhere Lauren might be. Nora had a folder with her. She slid it across the table. "I've been thinking about what you told me," she said, "about wanting to understand what happened. So I looked through some old expense reports." I opened the folder. Inside were printouts, receipts, credit card statements, approvals for company expenses. "Lauren used her company card for personal stuff," Nora said quietly. "Dinners, trips, club tabs, all with Brandon. She'd mark them as client meetings or promotional events, but they weren't. I checked. She was just stealing." I stared at the papers. Dates, amounts, locations, a paper trail of my wife's affair funded by her employer. "Why are you showing me this?" I asked. Nora was quiet for a moment. "Because she talks about you at work. Still, she brags about how you're probably sitting at home waiting for her, how you'll take her back the second she decides she's done having fun." She leaned forward. "And I don't think you should. Why do you care?" "Because I've seen this before." Her voice was hard. "I had a friend whose husband did the same thing. Left her for someone else, drained their accounts, came crawling back when it didn't work out. She took him back. 6 months later, he did it again. Some people just use other people as safety nets." I looked at the folder again, at the evidence in black and white. "Keep it," Nora said. "Do what you want with it. But if you're thinking about protecting yourself, that's a start." I took the folder home, added it to my collection. By month 7, I'd switched the house into my name. It wasn't as dramatic as it sounds. Lauren had signed paperwork before she left, standard stuff, refinancing documents we'd been planning anyway. She'd been so eager to get out the door that she'd barely read them, hadn't noticed that the new mortgage was in my name only, hadn't bothered following up when the bank sent confirmation letters to an email address she never checked anymore. By month 8, I'd moved all my money into new accounts at a different bank. By month 9, I'd changed the locks. Lauren didn't notice any of it. She was too busy posting Instagram stories from Brandon's gym, from club openings, from weekend trips to Portland and Boston. Her life looked perfect online, filtered, bright, happy. I kept working nights, kept watching, kept learning. Mia, my neighbor, kept feeding me gossip like it was a public service. "Heard Brandon's gym is losing members," she said one afternoon, catching me at the mailbox. "Lots of them switching to that new place by the mall. Better equipment, lower prices." "That's too bad," I said mildly. "And apparently one of his investors pulled out of the nightclub." She leaned in, loving this. "Something about permits and zoning issues. Caleb's been running around trying to fix it." I filed it away. By month 10, I documented everything. Every time Lauren posted about a trip, I checked Brandon's credit cards. Not by hacking, nothing illegal, but by watching social media and cross-referencing with Nora's expense reports. Every time she mentioned a restaurant or club, I noted it, built a timeline, created a pattern. I had messages saved, screenshots of her telling friends she'd come home when I'm ready, records of her draining our joint account, photos of her with Brandon at events where they were introduced as a couple. I had Mia's statements, informal but ready. Neighbors who'd seen Lauren leave, who'd heard her yelling at me that I was too boring to keep her interested. I had Dennis the lawyer on retainer, and I had Nora, who kept quietly handing me pieces of the puzzle whenever she found them. By month 11, I wasn't waiting anymore. I was ready. And then, on a Tuesday at 12:47 a.m., Lauren sent that text. "I've had my fun. Now I'm ready to be a wife again." I stared at it for a long time, felt nothing. No anger, no sadness, no relief. Just cold, clear purpose. I didn't reply. I deleted her contact name from my phone, but I kept the messages. All of them. Every text, every voicemail, every "I need more time," and "I'll let you know when I'm ready to talk." I saved them all in a folder I'd been building for almost a year. Then I checked my security cameras, the ones I'd installed at the house months ago, perfectly legal, covering my own property. And I waited. Because Lauren always came back when she needed something. And when she did, she was going to find out that the safety net she'd been counting on had a lot of holes in it now. 3 days later, on Friday evening, my doorbell rang. I was in the kitchen when I heard it. Nora was with me. She'd been coming over more often lately, and at some point over the past few months, it had stopped being just about Lauren. We'd become something. Friends first, then more. Slow and careful and real, in a way my marriage never was. She looked at me, raised an eyebrow. "That's her," I said quietly. "You sure you want to do this?" I nodded. My heart was pounding, but my hands were steady. "Then let me get the door," Nora said. She walked to the front hallway. I stayed back, deeper in the house, listening. The door opened. There was a moment of silence. Then Lauren's voice, bright and confident. "Oh, hi, is Ethan home?" "He is," Nora said calmly. Another pause. Longer this time. "And you are?" "Nora, I worked with you, actually, at the magazine." I could hear the confusion in Lauren's voice when she spoke again. "Why are you here?" "I live here," Nora said simply. Silence. I stepped into view, coming up behind Nora. Lauren was standing on the porch, her suitcase beside her, wearing jeans and a sweater I'd bought her 2 Christmases ago. Her makeup was perfect, her hair was perfect. She looked like she'd just stepped out of one of her Instagram photos. But her face had gone white. "Ethan," she said. I smiled. Not a kind smile, not a warm smile, just a smile. "Lauren," I said. "Nora said you might swing by." She stared at us, at Nora in my hoodie, at me standing close behind her, comfortable and familiar, at the reality that the safety net was occupied. "Can we talk?" Lauren asked, her voice smaller now. "Sure," I said. "Come in." Before we continue, hit the hype button, subscribe, and like the video to help the channel grow. Tell us which city you are from in the comments. We'd love to get to know our audience better. Lauren stepped inside slowly, like she was walking into a stranger's house instead of the home she'd walked out of a year ago. And maybe she was. Because this wasn't the same house she'd left. I'd painted the living room, replaced the couch, gotten rid of the ratty curtains she'd always meant to replace but never did. The place looked cleaner, sharper, more like somewhere a person actually lived instead of a way station between disappointments. She noticed. I could see it in the way her eyes tracked across the walls, the new furniture, the framed prints I'd hung. This wasn't the museum of her absence anymore. "It looks different," she said. "Things change," I replied. Nora moved to the kitchen, giving us space but not leaving entirely. She leaned against the counter, arms crossed, watching. A witness. That's what she was, really. A witness to whatever came next. Lauren set her suitcase down by the door. Not bringing it all the way in, I noticed, like she wasn't sure she'd be staying. Smart. "So," she said, glancing between Nora and me. "This is unexpected." "Is it? I mean, I didn't know you were seeing someone." "You didn't ask," I said. "You've been pretty busy yourself." She flinched, just slightly, then recovered, putting on that smile she used when she wanted to smooth things over. "Look, Ethan, I know things have been complicated, but I've been doing a lot of thinking, and I realize I made mistakes." "Mistakes," I repeated, kept my voice neutral. "That's one word for it. I'm serious. Brandon and I, it wasn't what I thought it would be. He's not—" She trailed off, searching for words. "He's not stable. He's got all these financial problems, business drama, and I realized what I had with you. What we had." "What we had," I said, "was you cheating on me for months before you finally left. That's not fair." "No?" "When did it start, Lauren? How long were you sleeping with him before you walked out that door?" Her jaw tightened. "I don't think that matters now." "It matters to me." She looked at Nora, then back at me. "Can we do this in private?" "No," I said simply. "Nora knows everything anyway. She's seen the expense reports." Lauren's face changed. The practiced sympathy vanished, replaced by something harder. "What expense reports?" Nora spoke from the kitchen, her voice calm. "The ones where you use the company card for personal expenses with Brandon. Dinners, trips, club tabs, all marked as business meetings that never happened." That's not—" Lauren stopped. Started again. "Those were legitimate promotional events." "No, they weren't," Nora said. "I checked. Every single one. You were stealing from the magazine to fund your affair." Lauren's face flushed. "You had no right to look at those." "I had every right. I'm the one who processes them." Nora shrugged. "And when I noticed a pattern, I documented it." The air in the room changed. Lauren's performance was cracking. She turned back to me, her voice rising slightly. You're really going to let her talk to me like that? In my own house? Your house? I let the words hang there. Lauren, your name isn't on the mortgage anymore. She blinked. What? The refinance papers you signed last February, the ones you didn't bother reading because you were too busy packing. Those transferred the house into my name only. That's not possible. We both owned this house. We did, I agreed. Past tense. She stared at me, and I could see her brain working, trying to remember, trying to figure out if I was lying. But I wasn't. I never lied. That was always her specialty. You can't do that, she said, but her voice was uncertain now. Already did. Bank approved it 11 months ago. You were sent confirmation emails. You never responded. That's fraud or something. It's not, Nora said. I had a lawyer friend look at it. You signed the documents. You just didn't read them. Lauren's hands were shaking now. She wrapped her arms around herself. I don't understand. Why would you do this? Protection, I said. Because I had a feeling you might come back when things got bad with Brandon, and I wanted to make sure you understood the situation. What situation? That you don't live here anymore. That this isn't your safety net. That I'm not your backup plan. Her eyes were wet now, but I couldn't tell if the tears were real or tactical. With Lauren, it was always hard to tell. Ethan, please. I know I hurt you. I know I messed up. But we were married for 8 years. That has to count for something. It did count for something. It counted for me paying the mortgage while you were out spending our savings. It counted for me sitting here alone while you posted pictures of yourself with him all over social media. It counted for me hearing from every neighbor and acquaintance in this entire town that my wife left me for a gym rat with an ego problem. I'm sorry, she said, and maybe she even meant it. I'm really sorry. I was confused and stupid, and I thought I wanted something different. But I was wrong. Brandon is falling apart. The gym is losing money. The club is a disaster, and he's not the person I thought he was. And I am? Yes. She stepped closer. You're stable. You're reliable. You were always there for me. Were, I said. Past tense. Don't do this. Her voice cracked. Don't throw away everything we had because I made one mistake. One mistake that lasted a year. Please. Just give me a chance. Let me prove I can be better. I'll do whatever you want. I'll be the wife you deserved. I'll sign whatever agreement you want about the house, the money, everything. Just let me stay. I looked at her, really looked at her. The woman I'd loved since I was 25. The woman I'd married at 27, the woman who'd promised forever and delivered barely 7 years. And I felt nothing. No love, no hate, no anger, no sadness. Just cold, clear recognition that this person standing in front of me wasn't someone I wanted in my life anymore. If you want to even talk about reconciliation, I said slowly, you're going to need to bring me full transparency. Passwords, bank records, messages, all of it. Everything from the past year. She wiped her eyes. Okay, yes, I can do that. And you're going to need to explain where you've been living, how you've been supporting yourself, and what exactly Brandon's financial situation is. Why do you need to know about Brandon? Because I want to understand what I'm dealing with. If you're coming back to me because you want to, that's one thing. If you're coming back because he's broke and you need a place to crash, that's something else entirely. She was quiet for a long moment. He's having money problems. The riverfront condo project is collapsing. The investors are pulling out. And the gym is barely breaking even anymore. So you don't have anywhere else to go. That's not why I'm here. Isn't it? She looked away. I want to come home. This isn't your home anymore, Lauren. This is my home. And you burned that bridge when you walked out the door. Then let me rebuild it. She was pleading now. Please, I'll do anything. I glanced at Nora, who was watching this whole exchange with an unreadable expression. Then I looked back at Lauren. Fine, I said. You want to talk reconciliation? Here's what happens. You give me every password, every account number, every piece of information I ask for. You show me bank statements, credit card bills, messages, everything. Complete transparency. No privacy, no secrets, no room for lies. Okay. And you do it knowing that I'm going to verify everything. I'm going to check every story, every timeline, every claim you make. If I find out you're lying about anything at all, this conversation ends and you never come back. She nodded quickly. I understand. Do you? Because I don't think you do. I think you think I'm still the same guy who let you walk all over him. But I'm not. I'm not angry, Lauren. I'm not hurt. I'm just done with being your safety net. I know, she whispered. I know I don't deserve this chance, but I'm asking for it anyway. I studied her face, looking for cracks in the performance, looking for the truth underneath the tears and the promises. Where's your phone? I asked. She pulled it out of her pocket, unlocked it, handed it over. I scrolled through her messages. Didn't take long to find what I was looking for. Texts to Brandon from this morning. He's not replying. What do I do? Brandon's response. Just go there. He'll take you back. He always does. Another message. What if he doesn't? Brandon. Then figure it out. I can't deal with your drama right now. I showed the screen to Lauren. This is from 8 hours ago. Her face crumbled. That's not... He was just upset. He didn't mean it. He told you I'd take you back because I always do, I said. And you believed him. You came here because you're out of options, not because you actually want to be married to me. No, that's not true. I came here because I realized... Stop. I handed the phone back. Just stop. I can see every message on here. Every conversation with your friends about how boring I am. Every photo you sent to Brandon. Every time you told someone you were just waiting for the right moment to come back when you were ready. She was crying now. Real tears this time, I thought. Or maybe not. Maybe I just didn't know her well enough anymore to tell the difference. I'm sorry, she said. I'm so sorry. I know you are. Sorry it didn't work out. Sorry you don't have anywhere else to go. Sorry that your backup plan is showing cracks. I crossed my arms. But here's the thing, Lauren. I spent a year learning how to live without you, and it turns out I'm pretty good at it. Please don't do this. You can stay at Mia's tonight, I said. I'll pay for a hotel room for the rest of the week. After that, you need to figure out your own situation. But you said we could talk about reconciliation. I lied. I smiled without humor. Turns out I can do that too. She looked like I'd slapped her. Good. You can leave your suitcase here for now, I said. I'll have it packed and ready when you come back tomorrow. But right now, you need to go. Ethan. Go, Lauren. She stood there for another moment, looking between Nora and me like she was waiting for one of us to change our minds. When neither of us moved, she finally picked up her suitcase and walked to the door. This isn't over, she said, her voice shaking. Yeah, I said. It is. The door closed behind her. I heard her footsteps on the porch, then silence. Nora came over, stood next to me. You okay? I don't know, I said honestly. Ask me tomorrow. But I did know one thing. I'd just crossed a line. For a year, I'd been gathering evidence, making plans, preparing for this moment. And now that it had arrived, now that I'd actually looked Lauren in the eye and told her no, I felt something shift inside me. Something cold and hard and permanent. She'd thought she could come back whenever she wanted. She'd thought I'd be waiting, grateful, ready to forgive anything. She was wrong. And that was just the beginning. The day before the gala, everything started moving faster. I was at work when Nora called. The audit results came back. And? Lauren and Brandon are being called in for a meeting on Monday. The magazine found $47,000 in fraudulent expenses. I whistled low. That's more than I thought. That's just what they've found so far. There's probably more. She paused. The editor sounded really angry. I think they're going to fire her. Before or after the gala? After. They don't want to cause a scene at a public event, but Lauren doesn't know that yet. She thinks everything's fine. Perfect. Ethan, are you sure about this? Once we do this tomorrow night, there's no taking it back. I thought about Lauren's text, about the year of humiliation, about being called boring and predictable and safe. I'm sure, I said. That night, I couldn't sleep, kept running through the plan, looking for holes, trying to anticipate what could go wrong. Nora was at her own apartment. She'd thought it was better to maintain some distance before the gala, keep things looking less coordinated. Smart. Around 2 a.m., my phone buzzed. Unknown number. Don't do this. Just those 3 words. I stared at the screen, typed back, "Who is this?" The response came quickly. "You know who. Brandon told me what you're planning. I'm warning you. Drop it." Interesting. So Brandon knew something was coming. Maybe Caleb had gotten nervous and tipped him off, or maybe he'd just noticed the pattern of people asking questions. Me. I'm not planning anything, just attending a public event. Unknown. We both know that's not true. Whatever you think you're going to do, it'll backfire. You'll look like the crazy ex-husband. No one will believe you. Me. We'll see. Unknown. I'm giving you a chance to walk away. Take it. Me. No. The threats continued for another few messages, getting progressively more desperate and then more aggressive. Whoever was texting, probably one of Brandon's friends, was panicking. Good. I blocked the number and tried to sleep. The next evening, I dressed carefully. Nothing too formal. I was supposed to be there as part of the security team, a role Grant had arranged when I'd mentioned wanting to pick up an extra shift. Khakis, a polo with the company logo, comfortable shoes. I looked professional, invisible, perfect. The gala was at the Riverfront Convention Center, a building that was itself part of Brandon's failed development dreams. Tonight, it was decorated like someone's idea of elegance: white tablecloths, fairy lights, a banner reading Riverfront Renaissance, building tomorrow today. I arrived early with the rest of the security team. Grant briefed us on positions, exits, emergency procedures. He put me on the east side of the main hall, away from the entrance but with a clear view of the stage. "Stay sharp," he said. "Rich people get drunk and do stupid things." "Will do." People started arriving around 6 p.m. I recognized most of them. Local business owners, city council members, a few state representatives, donors who'd been promised their money would revitalize the city. All dressed in suits and cocktail dresses, all pretending this wasn't just another excuse to drink and network. Brandon arrived at 6:30, Caleb beside him. Brandon looked good. Expensive suit, hair perfect, that confident smile he wore like armor. Caleb looked stressed. Lauren arrived 10 minutes later, alone. She was wearing a black dress I'd never seen before, her makeup dramatic, her hair styled perfectly. She looked expensive, untouchable. She saw Brandon across the room. He didn't wave, didn't acknowledge her, just turned back to his conversation with an older man in a pinstripe suit. I watched Lauren's face shift, hurt, then anger, then forced composure. She pulled out her phone, typed something. Across the room, Brandon's phone buzzed. He glanced at it, frowned, put it away without responding. The rejection was subtle, but clear. Lauren stood there for a moment, then walked to the bar, ordered a drink, downed it faster than was probably wise, and ordered another. By 7 p.m., the hall was full. The magazine's editor was there, schmoozing with sponsors. Mia was there. She'd bought a ticket specifically for this, wearing her best dress and a smile that said she knew exactly what was coming. Nora arrived at 7:15. She'd come as press, ostensibly covering the event for a freelance piece. She caught my eye from across the room, gave me a barely perceptible nod. Everything was in place. Because it wasn't over yet. Brandon was desperate. Lauren was desperate. Desperate people did stupid things, and I was going to be ready for them. The restraining order was approved by Monday afternoon. Both of them, Brandon and Lauren, were legally barred from contacting me, coming within 500 feet of my home or workplace, or posting about me on social media. Lauren violated it within 24 hours. She posted on a new Instagram account, not her name, but obviously her based on the writing style and details only she would know. A long, emotional post about how she'd made mistakes but was being punished far beyond what was fair, how her ex-husband had become obsessed with destroying her. The post got traction. People who didn't know the full story started commenting about forgiveness, about how everyone deserves a second chance, about how vindictive exes were a serious problem. Dennis filed a motion to have her held in contempt of court. The account was taken down within hours, but screenshots had already spread. Brandon, meanwhile, was fighting back in a different way. He hired a lawyer, probably couldn't afford a good one, but he got someone, and filed a countersuit against me for defamation, harassment, and intentional infliction of emotional distress. It was desperate. The claims were thin, but it would tie me up in legal proceedings for months, if not years. "He's trying to bleed you dry with legal fees," Dennis said when we met to discuss it. "Make you spend so much money defending yourself that you'll eventually agree to a settlement just to make it go away. Will it work? Not if you have better documentation than he does, which you do, but it'll be expensive and time-consuming. I'm fine with that. You sure? Because you could also just walk away. Let the fraud charges and civil suits from his investors handle him. You've already won." That phrase again. You've already won. Have I? I asked. Because from where I'm sitting, they're both still fighting, still trying to turn this around, still acting like they're the victims. That's what people do when they're cornered. They lash out. Then I need to make sure they stay cornered. Dennis sighed. You're not hearing me. You've done enough. Anything more and you risk looking like the aggressor. Judges don't like obsessive behavior. Juries don't like vindictive exes. If this goes to trial, it won't. Brandon's lawsuit is garbage and he knows it. He's just trying to scare me into backing off. And what if he's not? What if he actually believes he has a case? Then he's more delusional than I thought. I left Dennis's office and went back to work. Grant had cleared me to return to my regular schedule, though he'd moved me to a different sector, away from the riverfront, away from any chance of running into Brandon. Fine by me. The next 2 weeks were quiet, suspiciously quiet. No messages from Lauren, no sightings of Brandon, no new social media posts or legal filings. Just silence. Nora texted me once. Are you okay? Me. Fine. Nora, that's not what I asked. I didn't respond. Didn't know what to say. Was I okay? Objectively, yes. I had my house, my job, my freedom. Lauren and Brandon were facing consequences. The legal system was grinding forward. Everything was going according to plan. But I wasn't sleeping well. Kept having dreams where I was back in that abandoned gym. But this time, Brandon didn't just shove me. This time, things went differently. Darker. I'd wake up with my heart pounding, check the security cameras, make sure everything was locked. Mia noticed. Of course she did. You look tired, she said one afternoon, catching me at the mailbox. Everything okay? Fine. Liar. She crossed her arms. You won. Everyone knows what they did. They're facing consequences. So why do you still look like you're waiting for something bad to happen? Because I am. Ethan, they're done. Brandon's businesses are gone. Lauren lost her job and her reputation. What else could they possibly do? I don't know. That's what worries me. She studied me for a long moment. You know, there's a thing that happens to people who spend too long focused on revenge. They forget how to do anything else. They win the fight but lose themselves in the process. You sound like Nora. Nora's smart. You should listen to her. She stopped talking to me. Because you're being an idiot. Mia softened her tone. Look, I get it. What they did was horrible. You had every right to expose them. But at some point, you have to let it go and actually live your life. Otherwise, they still win. Because they're still controlling you, even from a distance. I thought about that. About how much time I'd spent watching security footage, checking social media, waiting for the next move. About how my entire existence had become centered around making sure Brandon and Lauren paid for what they'd done. Maybe you're right, I said. Of course I'm right. I'm always right. She smiled. Now go apologize to Nora and take her to dinner or something. You deserve to be happy. That evening, I called Nora. She answered after 4 rings. What? I'm sorry. Silence. I'm sorry I turned into someone you didn't recognize. I'm sorry I let this consume me. I'm sorry I pushed you away when you were just trying to help. More silence. Are you done? She asked finally. Done apologizing? Or done with the revenge thing? Both. I thought about it honestly. I'm done apologizing. I'm trying to be done with the revenge thing. Trying. It's harder than I thought, to just let go, to stop waiting for the next crisis. I know. Her voice softened slightly. But you have to try, because the person you've become. I don't like him very much, and I don't think you do either. No, I don't. So, what are you going to do about it? I was hoping you'd help me figure that out. She was quiet for a long moment. Dinner, tomorrow night, my place, we'll talk. Thank you. Don't thank me yet. I have a lot to say, and not all of it is nice. She hung up. I felt something loosen in my chest, not relief exactly, but maybe hope. The next day, I went to work with something approaching a normal mindset. Did my job, didn't obsessively check security feeds, didn't review documentation of Brandon's failures, just worked. It felt strange, like wearing someone else's clothes. Around 8 p.m., I got a call from an unknown number. Against my better judgment, I answered. Hello? It's Caleb. I straightened. What do you want? To warn you, Brandon is planning something. How do you know? Because he called me. Drunk. Rambling about how he's going to make you pay. How you took everything from him, and he's going to take everything from you. Did he say what he was planning? No. Just that he'd figured out how to hurt you where you'd feel it most. Caleb paused. Look, I'm not involved in any of this anymore. I've got my own legal problems thanks to him. But I thought you should know. Brandon's not thinking straight. He's desperate, and desperate people do stupid things. Thanks for the heads up. Watch your back, Ethan. I mean it. He hung up. I immediately called Grant. I need you to check the cameras around my house and Nora's apartment building. What's going on? I told him about Caleb's warning. I'll dispatch someone right now, and I'm calling the police. No police yet. I don't want to escalate unless we have to. Ethan, just check the cameras, please. He agreed reluctantly. 20 minutes later, he called back. Your house is clear. No signs of anyone watching. But there's a vehicle outside Nora's building that matches Brandon's SUV. Different plates, but same make and model. Send me the address. I'm heading there now. Wait for police. I hung up and ran,